Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Megan Senatori, and I am the Associate Director at the Center for Animal Law Studies. And we appreciate you joining us for today's session, which is Unlock Your Future in Animal Law, Admissions and Scholarship Session, excuse me. I'm joined today by my colleague, Professor Reddy. If you can go to the next slide, please. Raj is a professor with us at the Center for Animal Law Studies at Lewis and Clark Law School, as well as the Animal Law Program Director. And as I said, I am the CAL's Associate Director. And Professor Reddy and I both also teach in the online program with Professor Reddy, also teaching in our in-person program. So the agenda that we have for you today includes just a bit about the Center for Animal Law Studies here at the outset. And then Professor Reddy will provide an overview of the online animal law LLM and MSL program. Just to note, we also have an in-person version of both of those programs, and the admissions requirements are the same. The focus today will be our online program because for spring start, the application deadline for both admissions and scholarship is coming up quickly on October 7th. I'm then going to talk about some scholarship opportunities, and we will save plenty of time at the end for your questions and our answers. So with that, we'll go ahead and talk about CALS. So the Center for Animal Law Studies was founded in 2008, if you could go to the next slide. And our mission is to educate the next generation of animal law advocates and to advance animal protection through the law. As I noted, we were founded in 2008 here at Lewis and Clark Law School through a collaboration with the Animal Legal Defense Fund. But our history in animal law here at Lewis and Clark goes far back before that. So Lewis and Clark has been a leader and a pioneer in the field since at least 1992. We've had a series of firsts in the field, and I want to share a few of those here. We here at Lewis and Clark are proud to offer the first legal journal that is devoted exclusively to animal law, and that was founded here at Lewis and Clark Law School in 1994. We are also proud to have the nation's first student animal law organization, our Lewis and Clark Student Animal Legal Defense Fund, that was founded here at Lewis and Clark Law School in 1993. We also co-host here the longest running animal law conference, which is called the Animal Law Conference. CALS co-hosts that event annually with the Animal Legal Defense Fund, and we're delighted that this is our 32nd year hosting the conference. This year's event is being held October 18th to 20th in Portland, Oregon, and online. And we'll put information about the conference for you in the chat later so that you can join us if you're not already registered. If you can go to the next slide. We're also proud to have the world's first Dean of Animal Law. We have the most extensive animal law curriculum in the world. For those of you who follow us perhaps on social media, we always do a post that features the courses that we're offering each semester, and you'll see that it is just a wealth of robust course options here at Lewis and Clark Law School that focuses on a wide range of substantive animal law coursework. So we have that as well. Professor Reddy will talk in more detail, but we offer the first advanced legal degree, our LLM, in animal law, as well as the first MSL degree, and that's a degree for non-lawyers that is in animal law. That's the first in the United States. One of the things that makes us so unique here at the Center for Animal Law Studies is our global community of animal law advocates. We truly reach around the globe. This list reflects our alumni and current students who join us from 35 plus countries around the world. So one of the things that is really great about studying with us here is that you often have international students in your courses. We have a robust community, as I mentioned, that reaches around the globe with all of these wonderful animal advocates who are really leaders and experts in the field by the time they're studying with us and they go out and begin their careers in animal protection. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Professor Reddy to talk to you about our online LLM and MSL programs.
Thanks so much, Professor Senatori. Again, I'm really excited to talk to you all about these two programs. As the director of the animal law program as a whole, I oversee the LLM and MSL degree programs, both for in-person and online students. And so with that said, just touching base about the LLM, it's the very first animal law LLM degree in the world. We launched it back in 2012, so it's been around for just over a decade. And, we've welcomed to, again, our in-person and online programs a significant number of U.S. and international law graduates and attorneys. And people who have come through the program are looking to not just practice, but also teach, research. Some of them are really interested in joining sort of academia, taking on sort of professorial roles, think tanks, policy setting organizations, and really, really much, much more. And again, the LLM is available both in person and online. The MSL is relatively new. We launched it in the fall of 2022. And what's really distinct about the MSL, the Master of Studies in Law, is that it's the first advanced legal degree for non-lawyers in the US. So we have, as part of our incoming cohorts, those who do not have a JD or a bachelor's in law, but who are looking to equip themselves and make themselves conversant in animal law issues such that they can advance protections for animals in whatever jurisdictions are of interest to them. So we have a number of US and international students in our program. And, outside of practicing, those students come here for a lot of the same reasons, whether that's to supplement or sort of advance their teaching, their research agenda, academic interests, advocacy interests, being part of a policy setting organization and much more. And again, just like with our animal law LLM program, the MSL is available both in person and online. So both programs, with respect to the online offerings, we offer necessarily remote programs. So we do have some students who have taken up the opportunity to sort of pursue the program in a sort of a hybrid format, but the programs are part-time as most students take them. They're asynchronous. And so what that basically means is that over the course of a week, you'll have certain assignments, reading assignments, lectures to watch, but you may mainly do it on your own pace. There may be sort of a requirement that you contribute to a discussion board by, a certain point in the week, such that you're engaging with your peers and your professors over the latter part of the week. But outside of that, the courses are all asynchronous. The fall and spring terms feature 13 weeks plus a period of about a week and a half to 2 weeks for finals. And the summer term is 10 weeks plus finals as well. So in order to meet the admissions requirements for the LLM program, you basically need to have a law degree that qualifies you to, practice as a lawyer or sit as a judge in your home country. We don't require the LSAT or GRE. The only sort of standardized testing that we do require is for English proficiency. So listed here on the slide are 4 ways that one can meet that. If English is the official language of your university's country, or if the university that you attended is accredited by a U.S. regional agency. There are also a couple of tests that you can take, and those numbers there are the numbers that you would need to demonstrate proficiency there. In terms of the qualities, the candidate qualities that we look for, scholarly capacity, sort of experience and skill set as a lawyer, history of academic performance, work, and I would also add volunteer history, the strength of references, really looking for those who can speak to your work ethic, your involvement with animals, and so on, and a history or a demonstrated devotion to or significant interest in engaging with animal law issues. And with the MSL, the degree required is a bachelor's degree from an accredited U.S. or international institution. Just like with the LLM, no LSAT or GRE is required, but the same sort of proficiency standards are required. So again, one of those 4 ways of demonstrating proficiency. And just like with our animal law LLM degree, we look for scholarly capacity, academic history, work history, volunteer history, strength of references, and again, sort of that engagement with animal law and/or sort of advocacy issues. And again, this particular applicant pool is comprised of folks who don't have a degree that allows them to practice law. So even though that practice component isn't there, the same sort of demonstrated interest in animal law issues is what we look for. And we have here sort of the required application materials for the LLM and MSL. The one sort of distinction between the two is that for the online LLM program, we require the statement of interest, resume, transcripts from all institutions of higher education, whether or not a degree was conferred, a letter of recommendation, and again, for international students, that English proficiency standard. For the MSL, it's all the same requirements, except that for MSL candidates, we also require a writing sample, and that's usually between 10 and 25 pages. So in terms of program costs and scholarship, we have a number of scholarship opportunities that we extend to well-qualified applicants. For the 2024-2025 academic year, we have the tuition costs as sort of displayed here. It requires 26 credits to complete both the LLM and MSL program. But again, we strive to minimize the cost of those programs, and so are able to offer both full and partial scholarships to students who are accepted. And on that note, I'll just emphasize that as long as you submit your application by the application deadline, which for this spring semester is October 7th, you're automatically considered for all scholarship support. And we let you know at the moment that you're, if you're admitted, what that scholarship package will look like. So with that said, I'll turn it back over to Professor Senatori.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to transition now to talk about our scholarship program, and we are really fortunate and grateful here at the Center for Animal Law Studies to have so many donors who believe in our mission, and they really understand the power of education and training and advocacy to make a real world difference for animals. So we offer, as Professor Reddy said, both partial and full scholarships. I am going to talk about 3 that are named scholarships with particular requirements for them today, but those are not all of our scholarships. And then I also want to emphasize, as Professor Reddy said, there is no separate process to apply for scholarships. Everyone who applies to our advanced degree program is considered for scholarships. They are merit-based scholarships that are designed to recognize excellence in animal law and potential impact to go out in the field and make a difference for animals. And how we review these is by looking at the overall application of a prospective student, but in particular, their statement of interest will help to explain what their interest background is in animal law. So with that, I'm going to turn to talk about the first of our new scholarships. This is a newly created scholarship that was created over the summer. It is the Thomas Bloom Raskin Animal Protection LLM Scholarship. It was created by an anonymous donor who was inspired by Thomas Bloom Raskin. For those of you who may not know him, he was the son of Congressman Jamie Raskin and Sarah Bloom Raskin, who is a law professor. Tommy, who is what he went by, was a student at Harvard Law School. He was very passionate about animal protection issues. He worked at Mercy for Animals through an internship. And sadly, after suffering from depression, Tommy took his own life. And this scholarship was named in his honor to help carry his memory forward and to honor exceptional animal law advocates who can carry Tommy's work forward. So this is a $10,000 scholarship towards tuition. It is designed to recognize excellence in animal protection work. But Tommy's passion interest was to help the billions of farmed animals who are so deserving of protection. So the special consideration for this particular scholarship is for advocates who are passionate about farmed animal protection. So that's our Thomas Bloom Raskin Animal Protection Scholarship. Another newly created scholarship that we have and we are so grateful for is the Charles Richard Anderson MSL Scholarship for Farmed Animal Protection. This is another donor who is exceptionally passionate about farmed animal protection. And this particular scholarship is also $10,000 towards tuition, but is designed to focus on those with a journalism background or digital content creation background, because it is intended to make that nexus between journalists and people out talking about industrial animal agriculture and making a difference for animals through storytelling and talking about animal law and its impact to improve the lives of farmed animals. So this scholarship likewise is for those who are passionate about farmed animal protection. This scholarship is an MSL scholarship, so for our non-lawyer advocates, whereas the other one that I talked about a moment ago for Tommy Raskin is an LLM scholarship. That one is for lawyers, for those with legal background. And we can go to the next one. This scholarship is the William C. Borst Anti-Vivisection Scholarship. Mr. Borst was very passionate about looking for alternatives to animal testing and research. And in particular, he was interested in that area with respect to testing and research done on companion dogs. That's why you see the picture of the beagle in this particular one. This is a full tuition scholarship, and it is for either an LLM or MSL student. And it is for a student who's interested in doing work in this space following graduation, including policy development, implementation, enforcement, scholarship or teaching, advocacy, executive leadership, and more. This is for any student who is passionate about anti-vivisection work in their career, but with a preference given to students who have that passion to help companion dogs. So if we can go to the next slide, before I turn it over for questions and cover this particular issue, I just want to emphasize that everyone who applies will be considered in your statement of interest. However, you should note if you are interested in one of these particular named scholarships, and then make sure that your statement of interest covers the requirements for those scholarships. You can find those requirements on our MSL and LLM scholarship pages. I will put those in the chat as we talk. But with that, we're going to turn it over for question and answer in a moment. I wanted to flag that we are on social media. We are on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram and X. I still have the Twitter there, logo there. I'll update that one. We also have a quarterly newsletter. You can sign up for our mailing list. And that's the best way to stay in touch with us for webinars, conferences, and events that we host regarding animal law here at Lewis and Clark Law School. So with that, we'll turn it over to questions. You are welcome to direct your questions to either Professor Reddy or myself or both. You can add your questions into the chat and then we will review them and answer them for everyone. Your question is probably shared by many. So with that, we'll wait for some questions to come in. I'll kick us off with a question, Professor Reddy. Any overall recommendations for success in applying for admission for the program? What does the admissions committee look for?
Yeah, I would highlight, significant sort of engagement with an animal protection or animal advocacy issue. And, I think there are a number of ways that applicants can demonstrate that, by describing what that interest is, clearly, but also, through their resume, through their cover letter, through their letters of recommendation, what work you've been interested in, how you've been sort of looking to undertake that work, and sort of building on that. One of the things that we really look for is how can we, as a program, empower you to be doing the work that that you find significant, that you're coming to the program for. And so speaking to particular courses or areas of interest that you have and how the program will fulfill that is a nice way for us to realize or to have foregrounded for us why this program is important to you and how we can help you help animals.
Great, thank you so much for that. And we have some questions coming in, and I invite you to keep adding them into the Q&A feature. So the first question is, can you, Professor Reddy, tell us more about the profile of the professors in the LLM program, what their main professional occupation is?
Sure, we have a number of faculty who work in the field. So, and I'll just touch upon just a few of them. So, one, Professor David Rosengard teaches our Crimes Against Animals course, and he has been a staff attorney at the Animal Legal Defense Fund's criminal justice program for maybe a decade plus now. We also have on our faculty Joyce Tischler, who founded the Animal Legal Defense Fund. She's been, hailed as sort of the mother of animal law. She teaches our industrial animal agriculture course, a course for which she is, currently working to develop the first sort of industrial animal agriculture casebook. We also have in our online program teaching our nonprofit animal law course, Cynthia von Schlichten, who's general counsel for Farm Sanctuary. And she's also a graduate of our program as well. So we have a lot of faculty with, deep ties both to the work, but also to what the experience is like for students in the program. And I invite you to, go to Center for Animal Law Studies.org, and maybe Professor Senatori will put the link into the chat, but you can see sort of the full roster of our faculty and the incredible work that they've done. And I think that for a lot of students, that informs the courses that they look to take while coming through the program.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And we are really fortunate that so many of our professors, they're out working in this space. They are actually making a difference for animals. They have long dedicated careers in animal law and animal protection work. I have, oops, I put it in the wrong one moment. I have put into the chat the link to our faculty and staff here at the Center for Animal Law Studies. And I will also try to grab the link. We do faculty profiles of our faculty. So if you go to the online program website, which I will add into the chat, you'll see different features of our faculty in the online program talking about their courses, what inspired them to create that course, what kind of work that you cover in that particular course, and it also features the faculty. So I will add that in. In the meantime, another question for you, Professor Reddy. Can you tell us more about the writing sample for non-lawyers?
Sure. One of the things that I'll say, I really love our animal law MSL program. We get students from all different disciplines. And so those candidates don't necessarily have a paper that, engages with even an animal law issue, much less, a legal issue. But those candidates will submit, a paper that they've written for a course, something that demonstrates their ability to engage in sort of critical thinking, and that's demonstrative of their analytical writing skills. Because our online program is asynchronous, a lot of the engagement and a lot of the types of assignments that you'll have will focus on writing. And so even if you don't have again, sort of an animal law or an animal or a legal background, that writing sample that the committee values the most is the one that sort of demonstrates that you'll be able to engage in critical thinking and engage in sort of analytical writing.
Great, thank you so much for that, Professor Reddy. Another question is a specific one. The application portal notes that the statement of interest should be limited to 500 words. The person would just like to confirm that that is the maximum word count, and if you can just say a little bit more about that.
Sure, that is the maximum word count. I will say, we don't necessarily count the words in the statement of interest, but keeping things relatively short and concise is going to be is just a skill that we encourage students in the program to develop. And I think being able to undertake that in The statement of interest is also important, but if there are aspects of, your work or your experience that you really want to highlight, one way of doing that is, mentioning it in your statement of interest and then allowing the resume to sort of attest to different facets of it. And so the curriculum committee, the admissions committee will be able to sort of put that together.
Great, thank you. Sticking with writing as our theme, but separating out the statement of interest, there are a few questions about the writing sample to be submitted. One is, for the writing sample, should we submit multiple samples to meet the 10 to 20 page suggestion?
Sorry, could you ask that one more time?
Sure. For the writing sample, the person is asking, should they submit multiple samples to meet the 10 to 20 page suggestion?
Sure. That's totally fine. We do, you know, we do look for pieces that are a little bit longer. So, if it's 2 7-page writing samples, I think that's fine. If there are, 2 to 3-page writing samples, it might not be enough for the committee to appreciate, the development of an argument, the support of assertions uh, uh, with citations and factual support and things like that. So yeah, I think 7 8 pages would be good, and you can add a couple of those together and submit that as your writing sample. I think that would be fine.
Thank you. Another question staying on writing samples is, can a paper written for a graduate studies course be used for the writing sample?
Yes, absolutely. And I would say uh, the committee doesn't necessarily encourage, though it's certainly welcome. You don't have to necessarily write something new. If you've written something that captures those skills and demonstrates that you can write clearly, support in your argument, be critical in your thinking, and that's for a course that's in a program that's totally unrelated to law or animals. That's still something that we would value, and so certainly feel free to include that.
Great, thank you. The next question is for someone who is graduating in April, and they're wondering, after they graduate, can they apply for any of these particular named scholarships, and would they be able to qualify then? And I guess I'll answer that one and ask Professor Reddy to add to anything I miss. The scholarships that we have available for any particular cycle will be on the application website. So I would say check back when you go to apply to see what the scholarship opportunities are at that time. It'll depend on its scholarship, whether the particular named scholarships are filled. There may be other new scholarships. So I would just encourage anyone who's interested in applying to check those pages, the costs and scholarship page on the website, and I'll add those into the chat so that you see what is available at the time that you're applying. Anything you want to add on that, Professor Reddy?
No, I think that's great.
Okay. Another question is a better idea of the person would like to get a better idea of what the content in the online MSL program might look like.
Sure. And there's one requirement, I should say there are 2 requirements that all students in the MSL program must take. One is our Animal Law Fundamentals course, and the other one is our Introduction to U.S. Legal Studies course. And so students in the MSL program take both of those courses in their first semester. But after that, they're welcome to take all of our online courses, anyone that they would like. Usually these, just to make the numbers work out, these are usually our 3-credit courses, and they usually take 2 3-credit courses of the 4 that we offer every term. And this just affords them the opportunity to structure the program to meet their needs. And the only semester where it might be a little difficult coordinating that is the first semester, when you do have the Animal Law Fundamentals course and the Introduction to U.S. Legal Studies course, which together come out to 5 credits. And so if there are 2 or three courses, other courses that semester that are offered that you really want to take, you might have to be selective in that one semester. But after that, you're generally able to take and manage all of the courses that you would like.
And there's a follow-up question that I think you mostly answered, but just to circle back to it. Someone is asking, can they pick and choose the classes as long as they equal the 27 credits to graduate? I think you sort of
Yeah,
covered
and so
that.
it's 26 credits, and yes, you can. The way I'm also the curriculum advisor, so I'll work with you in making your course selections. But because this Introduction to U.S. Legal Studies course is 2 credits, and the other courses are 3 credits, most of the courses are 3 credits. Most international LLMs who also take Introduction to U.S. Legal Studies and MSL students are able to get the 26 without taking any of our sort of 1 credit course offerings, but those are still something that you can request, and we've historically had no problems adding students to them. For US LLM candidates, they usually take 2, 3 credit courses every term, so fall, spring, summer, fall, and then they take 2 of these 1 credit courses in either the fall or the spring term, and that's how they get to 26. But we also have students who have wanted to go above and beyond the 26, and that's also possible. And it's again something that we would work on together when we're doing sort of curriculum advising. And the other thing I'll say too, with the number of credits and the number of courses that we offer, while most students pursue the program part-time, it is possible to complete it within 1 sort of calendar year. So you could start in spring, continue into summer, and then continue into fall and graduate basically in December of 2025 if you wanted. And again, if that's going full-time is of particular interest to you, it's something that we could talk about during sort of the curriculum advising process.
One of the questions is, what email address should people reach out to if they want to ask more specific questions? And I will add that into the chat as well, but it'd be cals@lclark.edu, and then we can direct it to whomever the person is who's most appropriate to answer the questions. So cals@lclark.edu, and I will add that. Another question from someone who is in the audience is, what job positions do graduates obtain after graduating from the MSL program? So if you could speak to that a little bit.
Sure. Our MSL program is significantly newer. So just launched in 2022. So just as of last year is when we graduated our first cohort. And graduates of the MSL program have gone on to work at state level humane societies. One of them, Rachel Fitzgerald, is, I think, the senior animal rescue responder at Humane Society of the United States. Other candidates have gone on to pursue other sort of academic endeavors. And so we're really seeing the candidates who come into the MSL, because they have these diverse backgrounds, and some of them are, for example, veterinarians, they're not necessarily looking to pivot outside of their veterinary practice, but to rather inform the work that they're doing and expand upon the work that they're doing, whether that's through volunteer work or engaging with organizations, sitting on boards and the like. So again, it's a really diverse audience. Internationally, we just placed a candidate at a fellowship working on farmed animal issues in Southeast Asia. So we're really seeing positions start to open up for these particular MSL grads, which is really exciting. And again, if you have particular areas of interest, and those are issues that you want to talk about, certainly email cals@lclark.edu, and our program coordinator will get in touch with you. We can just make sure that the program and its curriculum and some of the other opportunities that we're able to offer meet you kind of where you're at, and perhaps even put you in touch with some of our graduates who are working in the specific sort of sub area that you're interested in. You're muted.
Apologies, I muted myself because I was putting things in the chat and I didn't want my typing to to show up in the recording. I have also added into the chat a link that shows our current MSL students. You can see the types of varied backgrounds that they have. We're in the process of updating it with the students who just started with us this fall semester, but that'll also give you a good idea of the types of MSL students who are studying with us, the type of backgrounds that they bring to their studies. And then I'm also going to add a couple of different blogs that we've done on this topic that focus on the types of work that MSLs pursue following graduation. So I'll add that into the chat as well. Professor Reddy, the next person has asked whether it's possible to hear from international alumni before applying to hear more about their experience for someone else who is like an international applicant. So if you could speak to that, and then I have a follow-up.
Sure. The answer is yes, it's certainly possible. And again, I would say email the cals@lclark.edu email account, and we could certainly put you in touch with a graduate who is with whom it makes the most sense to be put in touch with, if that's someone who works in a similar area or somebody who works in that particular region. We also have among our faculty graduates of the program, international graduates of the program, and they could probably also answer your questions as well.
And then I just wanted to add to it that I believe it was last year in the spring, my timing might be off, but we did host a webinar on the global impact of your advanced degree in animal law. And one of our international students who became an alumni, who became a CALS teaching fellow and is now a visiting assistant professor at CALS, Hira Jalil, presented at that webinar, and she shared information about what it was like to be an international student in the program, how she has used her studies in her career. And I will also, I'm adding all kinds of stuff in the chat, but I will add that in the chat as well, because it's a really great webinar that also answers some of those questions. So let's see, some specific, just to follow up on this question about jobs following graduation, the person asks, does CALS help with the process of finding internships, fellowships, or jobs following graduation? I'll let you answer that one, Professor Reddy.
Yeah, so actually right now, one of the things that we're planning on doing for our students and our recent grads, next week, we're putting on a career development series of events, and part of that planning is going to feature graduates of the program who are coming back to offer insights to our students, offer them career advice, talk about their work and their career trajectories. And we also have a job bank that in some ways is a little bit overwhelming. So we compile a number of animal law positions, job openings, internships, and the like, and we make those available to candidates in the program through our internal sort of Slack space. And so that's something that, if admitted, you all would be able to access as well. And we also have oftentimes we also have candidates, or we also have graduates who work in a lot of these major sort of nonprofits. And so students will oftentimes just reach out to someone who is an alum of the program 4 or 5 years ago, seeing in their profile that they graduated from Lewis and Clark, and can I have 5 or 10 minutes of your time to talk about this particular organization and this particular sort of fellowship or internship or job. And we have a really tight-knit community at Lewis and Clark, both with respect to in-person students and then also students in the online space. So it's a community that really does give back. So
yeah, thank you so much for that. I think that's really good response. And as Professor Reddy said, in addition to all of our alumni who are plugged into all these opportunities, all of our professors are as well. So it really is a community where you're supported to go out afterwards and find out about opportunities in the field. Briefly, Professor Reddy, would you share a little bit about our Global Ambassador Program? Because I think that's another great way that we support our alumni as they go out to pursue their careers in animal law.
Sure. We've been really lucky to be able to direct funds to our graduates at all degree levels in in-person modality and online modality. And I think this is our fourth year in doing so. And so for graduates who have a particular sort of passion and they want some funding to be able to carry out that vision, that passion, we accept sort of proposals in each new cycle and award based upon the strength of these project proposals, financial support so that they can really go and carry out uh, their vision over the course of a year. And it might just be, year one of what they see as a 5 or 6 or 7-year project, whatever the case may be. But we're really excited to be able to support candidates who are great students in the program, are great community members, and we've had GAP ambassadors teach the very first animal law courses in their home countries. We've had them develop nonprofits. It's been really great to see all of the work that they've done, and it's something that we anticipate having the funding to support in the future. And I don't know, Professor Senatori, if there's anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, no, I just echo that it's just a really exciting part of our program, and it's a way to help transition our alumni to go out and make an impact for animals. So we have now, we are currently in our 4th round of the GAP, and we'll be announcing the newest applicants who have been selected here in the next month. And those who are selected are eligible for a grant of up to $5,000 to support that work. So it's just a really great way for us to get them some further support for the work they're doing, as well as outreach, because we go out and spread the word about the project they're doing so that it helps them be successful. And so people hear about their work. So it's just been a really enriching part of our program here at CALS. Sticking on the topic of international practice, the attendee asks, they're from a country where animal law is not an established field of practice, and they're asking if the LLM program would help in pivoting into an animal law related career in the US or at an international organization, and do we have alumni who have done this? Short answer, yes, and we love this question. Longer answer, I'll go to Professor Reddy, and then I might add some stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Our program is as robust as it is in large part because we've had so many foreign candidates, international candidates attend it and contribute to it. And so, I teach our international animal law course, but not just in that course, but in really all of the courses I teach. We get to see, U.S. practitioners, what's working in other regions, and candidates from those regions getting to see what's working in the U.S. And it creates this dialogue and allows for sort of a richer, more robust experience, one that's regionally, globally informed, culturally informed, and we've had a significant number of international applicants, both for the MSL and LLM, come here and go back and be really the trendsetters, the very first to teach animal law, the very first to have beyond conservation, animal protection organization, and they're the ones who are sort of the mother or the father, the face of animal law in their home countries. And in large part, those are a lot of the candidates that we like to support through our initiatives, like offering GAP grants and the like. And so I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, I think that was great. Just that we do have a great track record of our alumni going out and really starting or expanding the field of animal law in their home country. And you can see that if you go to our website, centerforanimallawstudies.org. We also feature our alumni in action there, and you can see all kinds of examples of students who studied in our program and then went and started, really in many cases, animal law in their country. Here at Jaleel, for example, who is now a member of our faculty and teaches in the online program and the in-person program, taught the first animal law course offered in Pakistan, for example. We have lots of alums who have gone on and started animal law in their home country through the founding of a nonprofit. So a great example of that is Ever Chinoda, who started a nonprofit called Speak Out for Animals. And it is a premier nonprofit now in Zimbabwe that is doing all kinds of both animal law work, teaching wildlife law, as well as impactful work for wild animals and other animals in Zimbabwe. So those are just a few examples. We could do a whole webinar on that topic, but thank you for the question, because that's one of the areas that that really makes what we do here at Cal so unique. A couple of further questions. What is the maximum amount of time, Professor Reddy, to complete the MSL if they're pursuing it part-time?
So the general, as I mentioned, the general part-time load is basically 2 3-credit courses a semester. And, if accepted, one of the things that you would reach out to me about is, what you can sort of manage. And that's one of the most important aspects of the program. We want to make sure it's manageable for you. And something that you and I would work on together, carving out sort of a framework, a timeline. We do have every semester a few students who need to underload, and whether that's for a particular semester or throughout the duration of the program, that's something that I would work with each candidate on. The one thing I'll say is that in the first semester, again, we have those 2 required courses. So the Introduction to U.S. Legal Studies course for 2 credits and the Animal Law Fundamentals course for 3 credits. And that's the one semester in which a candidate cannot go below the having multiple courses. But after that, it's something, again, that we can work on together.
Thank you for that. Another question about writing samples. The person who is asking if we're specifically looking for writing samples that are completed as related to coursework. The person is a journalist and they have multiple samples related to animal law and animal protection, but they're not structured as like a thesis statement or an academic piece. They include research and interviews, but are not formed in a scholarly manner. So is something like that acceptable as a writing sample? If you could speak to that more broadly, because I'm sure the same question exists for people whose background is not necessarily journalism, but something else that wouldn't necessarily be scholarly writing.
Yeah, we certainly do receive those, and we accept them. I think the challenge there is making sure that the writing is as strong as it can be, because if it's more capturing sort of factual things and not as demonstrative of sort of scholarship, then there are other aspects or other elements that we necessarily put more emphasis on. But yeah, we do receive a lot of sort of newspaper type articles, journal type articles, and those candidates, aren't disadvantaged. I don't think in any way in the selection process, because there are other ways that we can determine the strength of the applicant's writing, such as through the statement of interest, and strength of references and the like. But yeah, then other aspects of the writing sample necessarily get more weight.
Great, thank you. I think I have answered one other question that has come in, and then we'll wrap up and have this be our last question. What are some advantages of attending the course physically? So if you were to study in person, and maybe I could ask this as, are there differences between the program if you study in person versus online?
Sure. And I think this is particular, to the individual. Certainly we do have students in the online program who decide, they want to potentially engage in-person courses, meet their professors in person, be part of an in-person community. And so some of those candidates, after a semester or 2 semesters, have reached out to me as a program director, expressed that interest, and they become sort of an in-person candidate. Sometimes they become sort of a hybrid candidate, and that they take 1 or 2 classes in person, so they get to engage with other animal law students, in person, which I think is a significant sort of draw for a lot of candidates. In addition to that, some aspects of the program that you would have access to and sort of find sort of enriching experience. We also have the Animal Law Review Journal here. So to the extent that a candidate is interested in working on the journal, that would be a potential positive. We also have, as Professor Senatori mentioned, the first, and I think the largest student animal legal defense fund chapter. And so being able to contribute to advance the work and mission of the student organization is also another plus. But I'll say a lot of the coursework that we offer in person is the same coursework that we offer online. There are some exceptions that go both ways, but with respect to the online program, we don't offer externship opportunities. We don't offer clinical opportunities. And those would be available to in-person candidates. So that would be the main sort of distinction between the two. And maybe I'm forgetting some. I don't know, Professor Senatori, if any others come to mind.
No, I think that was great. And I think that we have really strong programs in both categories. And I think it depends on the particular applicant and what works best for you. There are certainly, for some people, they have the ability to come study in person and that's their preference. The online program exists because we recognize that there may be people, exemplified by some of the questions in the chat, who are international candidates who could not move to Portland, Oregon and relocate for a year to study with us, or applicants who could not, dedicate a full year of study full time because they're juggling other responsibilities, whether those be professional obligations, family obligations, things like that. So both programs are really wonderful. And we can match them to what your needs, strengths, and interests are, depending on, where you're situated in life right now as you pursue a career in animal law. I should note that for the in-person program, the application deadline is not till February 1st. So that's why we focused in this one primarily on the online program, because that application deadline is so quickly approaching on October 7th. So
Yeah, and I would add to that really quickly. For the in-person program, we admit only for fall.
yes, thank you. So the February 1st application deadline for in-person is for fall only. We do fall admissions as well for the online program, and those applications are due May something. I can't remember the date.
Yeah, early mid-May, and you can find those dates on the website.
Okay. Wonderful. I think that we've answered all of our questions. Thank you so much for joining us today. On behalf of myself and Professor Reddy and all of us at the Center for Animal Law Studies, we appreciate you taking the time to hear about our program and the work we do and our alumni and how we're trying to help and change the world for animals. And we hope that you will join us to be a part of it. Any follow-up questions, please reach out cals@lclark.edu and visit our website or social media for all kinds of more information about us. Thank you so much.